What's up, guys? Resident Dog back with you. Today was a horrible day to go fishing, so I thought I'd take the time and do maintenance on my fishing reels. I'm going to be taking them apart, cleaning out all the old grease and re-greasing them, putting them back together so they're ready to rock and roll next time the weather clears up. Hang tight, we'll get into it. Okay, these are the supplies I use when I'm doing it. Obviously you need a bowl, keep all your nuts and bolts from rolling off the table and losing them, because a lot of them are tiny. Your reel we're going to work on, a micro screwdriver set, pair of pliers, reel grease, reel oil, two different things. I use a brake clean to get all the old grease out. I want to start from a completely barren, grease, oil-free start. A little WD-40 for the reel seat and some paper towels. So this is my Penn Spin Fisher 4000, 4500 actually. Let's get into her. So obviously you want to start by taking the spool off. Next, the handle. Now at this point, I like to take my oil and put a little bit in there and let it sit while I'm working on the reel so it soaks into all the nooks and crannies. Just work it in a little bit. So I'll put some oil on my handle and then I'll just set that aside. Get your drag bushings. Take those off. Make sure you keep those stacked in the same level, same order they were stacked in. Next, your bail. When you get your bail off, there's a screw here, and then there's a retention plate that keeps this nut from backing out, which keeps your spool nice and tight to the rest of the reel. Once you get that off, your plate will come off, and then you can take your pliers, or if you have a box wrench, either way, and back this off. All you need to do is just break it loose and it'll come off finger. Those aren't on there very tight. So once you get your retaining plate, the screw out, the retaining plate, and the retaining nut, your bail comes right off. And again, with this, I like to lube or oil. Place oil on this, and then we'll let it sit and soak in while we're working on the rest of the reel. So I put the oil on it and I'll work it in. Don't forget your little flip spring inside. So that worked in, set that over there. Now, get the reel. These screws will strip easily. I typically don't like to use the Phillips. I typically like to use the flathead because they are slotted Phillips screws. And once you get your screws out that hold your side plate on, it's getting your side plate off. And there we go. As you can see in here, there's old grease, some newer grease, and some of it's got that milky color to it, which is an indication that it's gotten wet. So all this has got to be replaced, redone. I usually end with taking this out and start with putting this back in, because this is probably the most complicated or intricate part to get put back together. So start there and end there and start there. That piece is ready to go back in. So we'll just set that aside. And we'll clean out the main housing before we put everything back in. There we go. Again, the other side didn't have a whole lot of grease on it, so we'll just give that a quick little wipe. That's good to go. Check your one-way bearing. Spins that way, but not that way. Good to go. And these have grease caked up in there, so probably just going to take these out and hit them with the brake clean. Here we are, we've cleaned all the parts with brake clean. No residual grease on them. We oiled our bearings. So let's start putting the reel back together. That's where your grease is going to come in. So I start on the bottom where this bearing is going to sit. Put a little grease for it to rotate on here. Make sure that spins nice and free and easy. Like that. We'll throw our screw back in to hold that down. Snug. Still spins nice and easy. Now we want to put our, I guess you'd call this a race for your spindle. There's a track on the bottom. I like to run a little bead of grease in there. And then it's going to rotate. You can almost see where the shinier spots are on that bearing, on that gear down there. That's where that race is going to ride on. So throw a little grease around the outside edge of that bearing, or that gear down there. Remember that recess rides on that little nub that sticks up on top of that gear. There. And also, that gear is going to slide back and forth here, so any place you got metal on metal needs some love. I usually, like I said, I'll move it back and forth to work all that grease in. Now your retention plate. Oh, you know what I did again? I'm a rock star today. I think I'm paying more attention to filming this than actually doing it. And that's what's screwing me up. It's alright though, man. It's alright. Bail back on. I like to give it a quick spin, make sure that spindle cycles up and down like it should, and see if I feel for any gears grinding or anything not really working the way it should inside. A bail retaining nut. Again, screw this down finger tight, and then just snug it. Retaining plate. Again, as you can see, this has a little play in it, so you're never gonna get it. You know, if you want to get it back in the exact same spot, I'm sure you can mark it and try it and do it that way, but so you don't want to wrench down on that because that's just going to bind stuff up. So and there we go, just like that, nice and smooth. Anti-lock's working. Working. Don't hear anything grinding. That reel feels nice and smooth. So there we go. Let's put our drag washers back on. That's the reel. As far as the spool goes, I like to just throw just a little bit of oil in here. Again, oil will replace salt water. You don't want salt water getting into anything. So salt water is the enemy. Voila. We'll put some new line on her, which will be a video for another time, and she's ready to go fishing. Thanks for watching.